Listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Welcome to SAP SuccessFactors Learning Management System, presented by Rebecca Murray and Michael Farragut, and sponsored by Illumity. If you have any questions today for our presenters or for HR.com, please type them into the Questions tab on your GoToWebinar control panel, and we will follow up with you. It is now my pleasure to turn it over to Rebecca and Michael for their presentation.
Thank you so much, Hester. We are very happy to be here today presenting to you on SAP SuccessFactors Learning Management. My name is Rebecca Murray. I'm the founder and managing partner at Illumity HCM. We specialize in helping organizations optimize and automate their HCM business practices utilizing SAP SuccessFactors.
Great, thank you, Rebecca. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Farragut. I'm part of SAP SuccessFactors sales team. I'm based out of Northern Virginia, and I have to apologize in advance if I sound raspy at all, just dealing with some of the pollen and allergies that are starting to spring upon us. But right now, I'm doing okay. So I've been in the HR technology space for about 15 years, got my start with the American Society for Training and Development in Northern Virginia, and then later moved on to work with Plateau Systems. If anyone's familiar with that, that is the original learning management solution that was acquired by SuccessFactors and then later SAP. So very happy to be with you today and looking forward to supporting Rebecca through a product demonstration.
Just a little bit of background about Illumity, our sponsor today. We are one of SAP's largest partners within the North American space. We have 8 offices worldwide, and we specialize in helping organizations implement and automate business processes, whether it's HCM or any other ERP module in the SAP space.
Great. So again, this is Michael. I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of SAP SuccessFactors and talk about the learning module itself that we'll be demonstrating. I'll keep it brief, just a couple of quick slides, and then we'll turn it over to Rebecca for product demonstration. So for those of you that are not familiar with SuccessFactors, SuccessFactors is a cloud-based solution focused on end-to-end talent management, core HR, collaboration, and even workforce analytics to help produce, measure, and continuously improve the most important asset of any business, which is the people. SuccessFactors is very scalable, so we have customers anywhere from 100 employees up to large multinational global corporations. And what we mean by scalable is that it can fit and meet the needs of any organization, no matter how simple or how complex. And there truly is a path for growth. So many of our customers use the system differently in year 5 than maybe they did in year 1 as they learn and grow and expand the way that they would like to utilize the software application. So it's very scalable from that sense. SuccessFactors has been very successful leading the way in HR talent management software. So we have over 100 million plus users on the SuccessFactors platform and over 6,300 customers of all shapes and sizes. We have a very good balance and spread, though, of our talent management suite and good numbers of users on each and every module. The learning module that we're going to show you today specifically has about 32 million plus users globally and over 2,500 specific customers. So we're very proud of the focus and attention that learning has had over the years. While many of our learning customers do utilize other aspects of the suite, about 1/3 of the learning customers just use learning in a standalone environment. So that really gives you an idea that this system can meet the needs of folks that want a talent suite or even organizations and customers that may just want learning. So just to talk a little bit about the aspects of the suite, it really does focus on hire to retire, everything from core HR in the cloud to talent management applications, from recruiting to onboarding, learning, performance, compensation, succession and development, and workforce analytics and workforce planning. And you'll notice the yellow arrows that say start here, start here, start here. what we're trying to get across in this message is that you can start anywhere, go anywhere. So no matter what your need is, we're not going to make you buy the entire SuccessFactors suite if you're not ready for that. If you just want to start with learning, or just want to start with recruiting or performance and goals, you can purchase that module and have a plan to grow and build over time. Our system is very user-friendly. The interface has very guided processes, so you'll notice that today in the demo. Excuse me. We also are a 100% mobile functionality-based system. So each and every customer does get access to the mobile application, which is available in the Apple and Google Play downloads. It is included in the subscription, and certainly something that many of our customers take advantage of, and a big part of our research and development moving forward is to continue to reach the new way of learning, which is mobile and on the go. So I'll just touch on SuccessFactors Learning briefly, and then we'll jump right in. So from a learning standpoint, we really focus on three key areas of development of the solution. Many of our prospects and customers focus on at least one, if not multiple aspects of these focus areas. And the first and foremost is compliance training. If you think about why learning management systems were created, it was all about making sure the right people were taking the right training within the right time frame and having visibility to track and produce reports on who's doing that. Some of the earliest adopters of learning systems were energies, pharmaceutical, life sciences, financials, the ones that really had to focus on compliance and were often reporting to governing bodies to prove that the right people had the training and certifications needed. That is still a big part of the system today and core functionality in our learning system. So you can push out training automatically. You can get visibility into compliance statuses. You can even do e-signatures, which is very popular within life sciences and pharmaceuticals. And of course, reporting. The second is talent development. So many learning customers are looking to be able to provide training to employees to help further their careers, to supplement development plans, to make employees feel connected to the business, and to give them the sense of care from the company that you are very invested in how they grow and how they advance as an employee. It helps with retention, and it helps with overall motivation. So there are big parts of the system that can make it very easy to search, very marketable, recommendations, peer-to-peer recommendations, all the things that would make someone want to come into the learning system to browse and see what might be of interest to them. So that is also a big part of the solution that you'll notice today. Lastly, external audiences. And what I mean by external audiences is the learning system can certainly provide training to folks outside of your organization. So if you're looking at potentially training partners or customers, really anyone outside of the four walls that might not necessarily be on your payroll but is vital to the strategy of the business, the system has the ability to be set up and configured uniquely so that folks can come in, look at training available, even purchase training through credit card transactions. All of that is possible through extended enterprise and external training. From a complete learning solution standpoint, we truly provide an A to Z solution when you buy our learning product. We'll give you all the abilities to deliver courses, whether it's e-learning or whether you want folks to register for classroom training or virtual online training, such as a WebEx integration. We include quizzes and exams, test-taking abilities, on-the-job, task-based checklists. We can manage certifications and give you all access to various reports as needed out of the box. But also with SuccessFactors, we give you what we call as our platform product. That's kind of the heartbeat of the SuccessFactors system, and each and every customer gets it. That gives you access to user profiles, organizational charts, even job profile builders, special dashboards, and mobile capabilities. So there's a lot there that isn't just for learning. You can almost utilize the platform to be a database of critical skills and information of your employees as it pertains to talent management. And lastly, we also include SAP Jam, which is a tool for collaboration and social learning. You can have learning communities, communities of practice. You can set up special groups that focus on a specific training event. It's just a way to harness that informal training and discussion that often is a big part of our lives when we learn. So lastly, e-learning content. Anyone that is looking for a learning management system typically has needs for e-learning. Whether you build it yourself or whether you're looking for third-party content off the shelf, we can absolutely support that. We subscribe to a thought process called the Open Content Network. So you can see here some of these logos on the screen are partners of SAP SuccessFactors. We don't actually resell their content, but if you have relationships with them or if you look to enter an agreement with them, we have technically integrated to their libraries on the back end already to make it very simple and very easy for you as a customer to import the courses that you have access to into your learning solution. It really minimizes risk and makes sure that there aren't any errors or issues with the library of content and the system itself. So I'm happy to take any questions around this as a follow-up, but I wanted to at least touch on that. So that's a little bit of an overview. Again, thank you for bearing with me. And I will turn it over to Rebecca to start the demonstration.
Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you for doing all the heavy lifting. I feel like I have the easy part of things. All I have to do is a little show and tell. So are you able to see my screen, Michael?
I can, but is there a way you can maximize it?
Yep, I will do that in just a moment. Perfect. Before I get into the actual nuts and bolts of the demonstration and the product, I just wanted to kind of touch on what Michael's alluding to, and that's that we are in just a web page. We are not in a special tool or application. No software was downloaded in order to get to this particular site. It is just a web browser connected to the internet. So in terms of being able to push this out to your users, it's very simple to do. Anyone with a web browser and the internet can access our solution. Or alternatively, as Michael alluded, this is fully web-enabled. So if you have a mobile device or a tablet, which is very popular with some of our organizations that have field-based employees, you can access our materials and our learning site right from your smart device. So what you see in front of you is a learning dashboard. It's really a little bit of everything that an employee or manager may need to help them with their training initiatives. So we are signed in today to our demo system as Jennifer. And when Jennifer logged in, the system recognized who she was and what she does at our organization. And it's presented to her the following screen based on that recognition. So you'll see across the top, we have a few different tabs: My Learning, My Team, Admin, and My Classes. Those are 4 different examples of the type of user or role that may be accessing the system. So an individual employee, a team manager, a system administrator, or perhaps just a basic instructor who's helping to monitor and manage some of the classes. So depending on who you are and what you do, you'll be presented with different tabs, which we'll explore during today's session, and then different content on each of these screens. So what we have in front of us right now is Jennifer's employee screen. This is to help her manage her own training, to see what has been assigned to her, either due to her job role, an assignment by her manager, something related to a job or work location change, or finally even some elective trainings that she may have chosen for herself. We call these different squares and rectangles on the screen here tiles, and each one of them gives a little bit of information. There's actually a library of titles that comes delivered with the solution for things like learning history and learning assignments. And you can go through the library and pick and choose the different tiles that you want to make available to your employees and managers. In addition to the tabs that come available in the library, you can actually create your own. And we have customers that stick in images, links to YouTube videos, links to books or external trainings can be incorporated as well. So you really have the ability to tailor this particular layout and the content that's displayed to your different end users. So what you see here first, probably the biggest tile, is the one on the left-hand side, and that is my assigned learnings. And we make this big and we put it right up in front because we want employees to know what is expected of them when they come here to this site. So you'll notice, first off, that a few things are highlighted in red. And because we're in a demo system, some of these tasks are very overdue. But things that are required or things that are overdue are in fact highlighted for me in red so that I'm sure to pay attention to them and not miss them. So on this particular tile, I have a listing of all the courses that have either been assigned to me or that I am registered for. And they could be a series of different things. They could be web-based trainings. They could be in-person classroom trainings. They could be books or materials that I've been assigned to read. They could be on-the-job observations. So all different types of learnings or trainings that you may offer to your employees or external persons can be incorporated here. We tailor this list to meet your business requirements. The other thing that you may notice as you're looking through this list is that some of these items have priorities assigned to them. So something that maybe needs to be taken before another class, not a prerequisite, but a priority in terms of completing an item, can be marked by different priorities. And that just helps to let an employee know if they have multiple tasks, what may be more pertinent for them to complete first. If it does happen to be, for example, a web-based training, then they can actually start the course right from this tile. If they've started and haven't finished, then they can come back and continue the course right from here as well. So as I scroll down and look at my different course listings, I noticed a few different things. I noticed some pieces were assigned to me by a manager. It could be required, it could be optional. I know that some pieces are recommended for me based on the type of work that I do. And then I know that some pieces are actually part of a curriculum, which is a grouping of different trainings put together. It could be required or it could be optional. We oftentimes see curriculums associated with job roles or with job type event changes. So for example, with this particular course, the new hire onboarding program, when I click on that, I know that it is required of me because it was assigned to me when I showed up for day one at my organization. And this is something that no one manually assigned to me. The system recognized that I was a new hire starting on a particular day and automatically assigned these pieces to me. So the automatic assignment of trainings, whether it's an individual course or a curriculum, can be set up in the system. And that means that as a learning administrator, you don't have to necessarily keep track of who all the new people are and make sure they're getting into their new hire activities. The system will automatically enroll them into these different components and help you track whether items have been completed or if there are still things that are outstanding. And they can be day one activities, goal setting, new hire training classes, whatever those different parameters are can be built right into the system. Coming back to our to-do tile, learning assignments, if I scroll down a little bit more, you'll see that I have an example of a web-based training. I can come and click on this web-based training to get a description, any text that's provided to help describe the course to me. If any learning credits or objectives are included, they'll be here and available for me as well. Any type of credit hours or continuing credit education hours, any competencies that may be earned as a result, We use the word competency, and some people think of behavioral or performance competencies, but you could also envision that licenses or certifications or equipment operating certifications could be included here as well. And I've actually already started this course. If I want to continue it, all I need to do is click on Continue Course. This happens to be a web-based training. It's available for me to complete at any time. Oops, sorry about that. And it pops up for me and allows me to take the training right from this particular area. I can also request to schedule it at a different time if this time's not working for me. Or because I'm a manager who happens to manage a team, I can actually assign it out to any of my team members. So if I enjoyed this training or found it to be useful, then I can assign it out to others as well. If I'm interested in finding a learning or training, let's say I want to prepare myself for career advancement, or I find that I'm not performing maybe as well as I could or should be in my current role, then I can come to this Find Learning box here and start to type in keywords to help me browse the course catalog, or I can just click on All Courses and it will open up the course catalog for me. One of the neat things about our solution is that it allows you to have multiple domains. And the easiest way to think of that is to think of the ability of having multiple course catalogs. So I can have a course catalog with content available for internal employees versus external vendors. I could have a catalog for different particular locations. I could have a catalog for different particular job functions. Because it may not make sense for someone in Boston to be searching on-site trainings over in Japan. It may not make sense for an external contractor to be looking through the course at internal trainings. So you have the ability to have this content that's returned here be specific to the person that's searching, which is a really nice feature. On the left-hand side, you can see some filters. So I can sort items by the category of training, whether it's online or instructor-led. I can come and search by subject areas. You can determine kind of what filters you want to have show up here on the left-hand side based on what you think would be most useful to your users. So let's say I want to look at business skills and I want it to be an online training. Well, now I've come up with this course, Leadership Principles. As Michael mentioned during his introduction, you can make this a for-cost learning management system. Some of our customers do. Those could be costs that external people incur when they take a training, but it could also be internal costing. If you're assigning out your different departments and divisions training budgets, even though no money may actually be exchanging hands internally, you can actually put costs associated with internal training budgets to each one of these courses so that an employee or a manager knows how much out of the internal training budget this particular class would consume. We do offer the ability to attach prerequisites to a course. So you can see this particular course, Leadership Principles, does contain prerequisites, some of which our user Jennifer has not yet completed. As a result of completing this training, she'll earn 1 competency and she'll earn some proficiencies in 3 different subject areas. So if I wanted to come in and view the prerequisites, I could. They are listed here. And I could either complete 1 curriculum, business communication for employees, or 2 self-paced learnings, pre-work community and interpersonal communication skills. It so happens that I've already completed 1 of them. If I want to complete the other prerequisite, I could just come in here and click Assign to Me. And that would assign this prerequisite course to my particular record. And when I've completed that prerequisite, then I'll be eligible to take this course. So a lot of different layers or levels, if you will, of how you make courses and trainings available to your users. I think one of the nicest things about the solution is that the system keeps track of you, your role, what trainings you've taken in the past, and they do make course recommendations based on that. So based on that, these are 4 courses that the system thinks would be of interest to me, either based on things I've liked in the past or based on similar content or job role responsibilities. So the system does kind of take a little proactive approach to helping you pick your training, if you will. I'm going to jump back now to the home screen. I think one of the most important things for training for the employees and managers is not just what training are you currently signed up for, but what training have you had in the past, especially if you happen to be in some sort of field service or compliance-driven industry. It's great that you're scheduled for something next week, but in order for you to be on my line or out in my field, I need to know what it is that you have completed already. So employees and managers are able to view learning history for different team members. And you can see here's a list of all the different trainings and their statuses that Jennifer has completed. And if there happens to be some sort of certificate or license that's imparted, it can be printed out here. So we do generate and make available training certificates to team members. So just a nice little feature. You can print it out and hang it on someone's wall. You could print them out if you needed to for compliance proof, whatever your particular needs may be. Down here on the bottom under my curricula, it's just a little bar graph showing me where I am with things. I've been assigned a particular curriculum. When I click on this dynamic graph, it brings me into my different assignments related to that curriculum. You can see that there are kind of 2 parts to this. I've completed a handful of them, but one of them I have still to do. It's outstanding. And not only that, but I'm behind. It was supposed to have been completed on the 31st of March. I haven't yet completed it. I didn't mention this as we were scrolling through the list of courses that were overdue. But the system can be very persistent in reminding you to complete your trainings if there is a course that's due. So the system can send email reminders to the employees, to managers, to department supervisors, divisional heads, HR persons, whatever your notification process should be. The system can keep all of those people informed as expiration dates are upcoming, or as they hit and someone is still delinquent in carrying out these tasks. So you can see this is one area where we are delinquent, and these annual credit hours, for example, don't need to be completed until 2019, so we still have time there. So not only are we keeping track of what courses someone has taken, what courses they plan to take, we're also keeping track of any dates for trainings or dates for licenses and certifications. And again, the system will do an active job of reminding you. Over here on the right-hand side, we have an area for quick links. The idea is we want to put everything that an employee may need right in front of them so that they don't have to jump around trying to find something. So if there were a series of quick guides for different trainings that they needed to take, different pieces of equipment or machinery that they operate, we can store those here. A lot of my customers also store things like company manuals or time off approval processes. You could really put just about anything there. External requests, if you want to attend an offsite training, you can make a request there. Also a quick link for reports. So employees can run reports on themselves, managers can run reports on their team, learning administrators can run reports over their area of responsibility. So if I want to come in and run a report on my learning history, I could do that. If I wanted to come in and run a report based on my learning plan, what I've done and what I have still to do, all of these reports are available here to me as an individual employee. And when I jump over to the team section, you'll see that I can run those reports for my team as well as the manager. So jumping over to the My Team tab, this is a tab that allows managers to oversee and review the training for his or her team members. Again, they could be internal employees, it could be a mix of employees and contractors. However you decide to make these arrangements, you can do so. We even have some customers that offer external trainings to vendors and partners, and you could even set up those people to be managers to manage their own team members, their external training. So it doesn't have to be limited to just your own team members being managers. But again, we're logged in as Jennifer. Jennifer has a whole handful of direct reports. They're all listed here on the left-hand side. So looking at Lindsay, for example, these are her trainings. Again, we're in a demo system, so many of Lindsay's trainings are quite overdue. If I wanted to come down and search on, what's required and hasn't been done, or what is an OSHA requirement and hasn't been done, what is required for her certifications and hasn't been done, I can tailor that list a little bit more specifically. And I can jump from employee to employee and get an accurate view of what's there, what's outstanding. You'll notice under Linda, for example, she has a little arrow next to her name. That's because she has team members that report to her, and consequently they roll up to Jennifer. And so depending on how much access you want to give managers, you can actually give them the ability to drill down into their area of responsibility. So I can go ahead and keep track of my own team members, but then also people who roll up to me, kind of making sure that I'm always aware of who's doing what, especially if I'm using some sort of internal budget for training. I can see where that money's being spent within my division. I also, as a manager, have the ability to assign trainings to my employees. So if there's, let's say, a deficiency that I am observing on the team, and I want to go ahead and assign a learning out to my team members, I can come and click on what course or courses I want to assign. So let's say I think everyone should take a class around account planning. I can make that particular assignment, and then I can come in and assign employees to that particular assignment as well. So let's say I want to assign Lindsay, Autumn, and Edward into that training. I can come and do so with just a click of a button. If I happen to be a higher level manager, let's say I manage an entire division or an entire business unit, I can use some of these filters or search options at the top to kind of narrow in the list of people that I want to include in this particular training. And when I'm done with that exercise, these particular trainings will pop up on their learning plan. They'll be notified that they've been assigned to complete that training. And depending on what the training was, it could be a high priority, it could be a low priority, it could be an in-person training, it could be a remote training. It just all depends. Depending on the process you want to incorporate at your organization, you may determine that some trainings require approvals. So maybe an employee would like to take training on a certain piece of equipment or to master a certain competency or skill, and there's either a cost associated with it, or it would involve them being absent from their regular work activities for a period of time. In that case, instead of just allowing an employee to self-register, perhaps you incorporate the use of a workflow for approvals. This is especially helpful if a team member is requesting an external training. Let's say they want to go to a conference or a trade show, or a training supported by some sort of labor union or labor group. Obviously, those activities probably are not in your training catalog, and so a request can be submitted to attend that particular activity. So here is a request to attend a SuccessFactors conference. It's been submitted by Lindsay. It's going to cost about $600. I can either approve, deny, or just kind of hold off for now and come back and look at it later. Just a very easy way for team members to make a request and managers to be able to review and approve. I'm going to jump over one tab now, over the admin. I'll come back to that in just a moment, but click on the My Classes piece. And this is a piece that is very helpful for instructors. And it may be that your instructors are all internal employees, in which case they may have access to some of these other tabs as well. But some of our customers utilize external instructors or people that they hire just to come in and host certain activities. In that case, it's very helpful to have a tab dedicated just to those particular people who come in and teach basic classes. So Jennifer happens to teach the first aid classes out of the Boston office, and you can see that she has scheduled several different classes of first aid over the next few months. They're in-person training classes at the Boston office. And if I look at the one scheduled for April 23rd, I can see that it's planned for training room number 1. It's going to start at 8 a.m. And I have 3 employees currently registered for this course. Now, if I want to remind them all to show up in comfortable clothing because we'll be doing real-world exercises, then I can put checks next to their name and send them out an email. So I do have the ability as the instructor to kind of interact with the team before, during, and after without having to type in everybody's name to an Outlook email. I can go ahead and pull a roster. Some of our instructors will bring an actual sign-in sheet. You can also do a scanning of QR codes from a mobile device if you wanted to check people in that manner. So just a nice simple way for instructors to, 1, manage the courses that they've been assigned to teach, but 2, manage the users that are registered for that particular course. Okay, and the last tab is the admin tab. And this is where all the magic happens. This is where a system administrator can come and set up the course catalog, add trainings, monitor users, monitor competencies, update training materials if they need to be updated for particular courses. So this is really the nuts and bolts of the solution. The entire solution is kind of embedded with guided processes, but none of that is that's available in this learning admin section as well. It's very apparent once we get started that the system will kind of help guide you to have complete and accurate data here in the system. So first up, what we see on the screen here, I think the first thing that people notice are these 2 kind of little tiles here on the front of the screen right in the center. And we've got a welcome message. This can be tailored to provide welcome or instructions to all your different learning admins. Some of my customers put in reminders, tutorials, running lists of things that have been going on. Some of them think it takes up space, so you can actually tailor this view to remove this piece and instead build up the quick links item. So you can really tailor this to make it your own. Down here in the quick links section, this is tailored per admin. So each admin can kind of put together a list of some of their favorite links, things they use most often. Using this little pencil here, you can kind of choose the different tasks to put here. But some of the more common tasks include creating trainings, whether it's instructor-led or online-led. As I click on one of these tasks, the guided mode prompt comes up. And it's asking me, do I want to add an item, add a curriculum, assign or remove a training, go to the registration assistant, or use the guided mode that's going to walk me through the process of adding a new item. And it's so user-friendly to use. It prompts you for the information that it needs to complete the entry in the system. So is this an online only course? Is it going to be a scheduled course at a particular day and time? Are we doing both a scheduled and an online? And as I come through and make my selections, it just walks me through step by step the different pieces of content it needs to complete the entry. So I will never get to the end and have missed a step. I will never schedule a class and forget to assign an instructor, or put a new offering in the catalog but then forget to put dates around it. So it just makes sure that I have complete entries each and every time. Another thing that you may have noticed that has just popped up here off to the side are these star and light bulb pieces. And the light bulb is the guide me step. So this is one of the guided modes. And because I had just started entering in an instructor-led course, it's going to leave that guide open for me off to the side so that I can pick up and continue the activity that I just started. I think my favorite part of this whole system, and those of you who are in a system, any system, frequently can appreciate this, is this dynamically generating favorites box off on the left-hand side. And this essentially allows me to store my most favorite pieces here in a bookmarks link. Or even better yet, the system tracks for me the most recent tasks that I've gone in and completed. So if yesterday I was working in Rhea's employee record and I didn't get to finish, or I made one change and now I need to go back and make another, I can just open up my recents and she'll be there right at the top waiting for me. So while I could come in here under search and look for her here, or go in under users and find her there, things that I work on or people that I work with on a regular basis are going to be populated for me in this recents section, which is very nice because I'm sure you get requests on a regular basis to create a course, and you get about half the information that you need to actually set the course up. And then the next day, someone will come back with more information or a change of information. And so you're probably in that record updating it very frequently until you get it just right and release it out. And instead of having to kind of go in and search for things or look them up in the directory, you can just come in here to the recents piece and find the last course or the last person or the last competency that you were working with. That's how I do it. It's my favorite way to get around the system. Okay, up here along the top, right now we're on the Home tab. We also have tabs for users, competencies, learning, and content. I'd say those are the four most commonly used pieces. Users and learning probably most frequently. Content whenever an addition to a course content list needs to be made. Commerce only if you're keeping track of numbers, whether it's budget, internal or external. If not, that's just a piece we would not set up for you. But if I wanted to come in here and manage my users, I can do so. You can see there are a lot of different filters available to me in order to find the users that I want to maintain. I can come and look by any of these different pieces here. One of the more common filters that we tend to use when we think about trainings, either location or job code. So a lot of times we are assigning trainings based on someone's job or based on someone's location. And once we make an entry as to a particular job code and trainings that that job code should have, then anyone who happens to be assigned to that particular job code, for example, will have to take those trainings or participate in those particular activities. And so they can be automatically assigned into those activities by the system. So here we've pulled up the job code for Chief Executive Officer, and there are two pieces of curricula assigned, the Business Communication for Employees track and then the Executive track. And so that I know if I log in and look at the record of any of our CEOs, that they will be assigned to this particular curriculum. And if I open up the curriculum, I can see the different individual courses that make up that, that curriculum plan. So the system is keeping track of all of this information for me. I don't have to manually assign the CEO to 7 different trainings. One curriculum or 2 curricula are assigned to the job code, and anyone with that job code automatically gets that curricula. If you think of that from the employee level, maybe field workers or people who work on certain pieces of equipment or machinery, you don't want to have to go in and manually assign trainings to those particular job types. The system's going to manage and keep track of that for you. Same with the competencies. I can go in and set up competency profiles. Individual competencies can be assigned to jobs. They can be assigned to trainings, so that a job could have some sort of requirement, let's say for leadership, and then a particular training can impart a certain proficiency or competency level around this particular competency. So when someone moves to a new job, let's say they're a manager level 1, and they're required to have a base competency in leadership, then they can take a particular course that happens to impart a certain level of leadership. The nice thing about these competencies and assigning them to people and to courses is that we can do profile matchups. So we can allow the system to tell us where there are deficiencies, and not only that, but where we should maybe make promotions. If someone is exceeding all of the competency requirements of their particular role, are they better suited to another role so that we can retain them within our organization? So just a very nice and complete way to kind of keep track of our employees. I'd say one of the biggest things we're hearing from customers and prospects and just at general industry events are, how can we retain our employees? We spent so much money finding someone good to hire. We spent more money training them on how to do things specifically within our organization. Now, how can we make sure that they stay around with us for, enough time to make it worth it? And one of those answers, I think, for me, is just the idea of employee engagement. And training is a big way to demonstrate to your employees that you are investing in them and that you intend to be, to have them at your organization for a long time. Keeping track of competencies helps with that. On the learning side, this is where we schedule our courses, our catalogs, we put together our curriculums. So being able to put together, let's say, learning programs, combinations of courses, they're all little different building blocks. And as we set up your system, we help walk through these concepts with you. But the first thing we do is we put together a course. And then we can group those courses together into a curriculum, and then we can assign that curriculum out to a particular job role or job family or location. So you can see in the curriculum listing here for, let's say, first aid. As I click on that, it brings up for me a list of courses that are assigned into that particular course, so first aid and a first aid refresher, and then I can look to see, are there any job codes that are assigned to have this particular curriculum? And the answer is yes. The Powerline maintainer job role is assigned to this particular curriculum. And so if I go and search to find all of my different Powerline maintainers, all of them will have this as an assignment for their individual training. I can go in and see what type of curriculum this is. In this case, it's a certification program. We could also have it be for compliance purposes or personal development purposes. We can give it a priority so employees know how to treat this course in addition, in comparison to other courses, just to kind of help prioritize or triage their learning schedule. So just a very nice, easy way to keep track of trainings, to group them together and then to assign them out. And that brings us to about 1:50. So we are just about to the end of our time today. We have about 10 minutes left. So in the remaining time, we will go ahead and open up the line for questions and answers. Are there any questions that I can answer and Michael can answer since we have so many people on the line? Okay. The first question is, how does the ongoing sync of these catalogs work? That's a great question. Michael, do you want to answer the first question, or would you like me to take it?
I'm sorry, the question was, could you repeat that?
Sure. How does the ongoing sync of those catalogs work?
So catalogs, you can have multiple catalogs in the system, different catalogs for different job roles or for different organizations, and you can make specific assignments to those catalogs so that it streamlines what's available for the specific user. Is that what you're thinking, Rebecca, or am I missing something?
No, I think that's what the question was alluding to. I think in terms of synchronizing the catalogs, they're all in real time. So as you publish an offering or make it available, then it's available out to employees. There's not a feeding of catalogs from different areas. They're all available inherently within the system.
Yeah, an employee can be assigned to more than one catalog as well. So if you made an IT specific catalog and a soft skill catalog, you could make both of those catalogs available to a user so that they could then search and select courses that are IT related or soft skill related.
That's a great point. Our next question coming in is around prerequisites. And the question is, can prerequisites be bypassed if the training is assigned by a manager or an administrator? And of course, the answer to that is yes. Managers or administrators, depending on the access that you give them, can in fact override or bypass prerequisites. We often see that with maybe a mid-level or senior level employee coming into the organization, maybe taking some of the baseline prerequisite courses is something that they've done either in a previous role or at a previous organization, and you really want them to focus on some of the advanced training that may be more relevant to them. So yes, that can absolutely take place. Let's see, is the mentoring module still available? The mentoring module is available, yes. It's part of our development module and part of our platform, but we do still offering the mentoring component. And the mentoring component is just an area where an employee or a group of employees can work with another team member. It doesn't have to be a manager. Could be someone from the same department or a different department who's going to provide advice and recommendations around current job training and performance, but also the ability to advance within the company. So maybe suggesting trainings to help them move into a higher level role at the company.
There are ways in the learning system as well to create a very simple learning assignment to someone to maybe do 2 hours of mentoring and shadowing in the next 30 days. So when you create a learning item, it can be anything you really want it to be. So there are some opportunities if you get creative to build that into the learning item and have it be right on their to-do list. Like I said, something like a reminder to say, do some shadowing for a certain number of hours over the next month.
And then last on the list right now, Andrew is asking about the concept of merging competencies with training, kind of what's the benefit and is there any proof that that has benefit to the company? And I would say, Andrew, that the answer to that is kind of twofold. If you think of a competency as being something behavioral, like a leadership skill or communication ability, it's nice to have some way to train employees in those different areas. And it's nice to have some way to keep track of an assumed level of proficiency. It could be by taking a training, taking a test associated with the training. We have the opportunity to do on-the-job observations where managers or supervisors can indicate, actual observations of demonstrating that competency. So there is benefit to tying those together, especially if a manager or employee thinks that there is some sort of, deficiency or opportunity for growth there. The thing that leads to is you can really expand beyond that, because if you're looking for, things in terms of succession planning or career planning, and you need someone who has a certain level of leadership, communication abilities, typing skills, whatever it may be, you really don't have a way to search your organization to find out who those people are unless you are somehow keeping track of competencies. And you have no way for employees to get guidance or training around those competencies unless you're tying them to trainings. The second aspect to that is if you think of competencies not just as behavioral indicators, but perhaps a license or certification where there is some sort of hard association that the employee possesses an ability to do something. A first aid certificate from the Red Cross, a professional engineering license from the Secretary of State in a particular state. Those are things where an employee may have to have an actual training and approved certificate in order to hold a certain role. So you would definitely want to make sure that you are keeping track of those things and tracking them in a system. Okay, a few other questions are coming in. We're not going to be able to get to all of them today, so Michael and I will be sure to follow up with you via email to make sure all of your questions do get answered. In terms of wrapping things up for today, I guess we just wanted to summarize some of the pieces that we talked about and looked at. And first off, SuccessFactors Learning Management, it is cloud-based, so there are no servers or pieces of hardware that you need to purchase or maintain. It's accessible through the internet via a browser or mobile application, and it is scalable. Organizations of all sizes run this particular solution. Michael and I, in fact, both do our training for our jobs through this very LMS, so we are very familiar with this particular tool. A nice feature about our solution is that it can auto-assign trainings based on any number of criteria, the most common being job, location, and new hire events. And I'm guessing those of you out there who are learning administrators are thinking, it would be really nice for me not to have to manually assign training every time a new hire rolls on board, or every time someone transfers into a new job. I find out about it 3 weeks later and they've been out working in that job and they haven't had the appropriate training. The system's going to help you there. The solution is really geared towards self-service, so giving employees and managers the ability to go in and take ownership of their own training and training for their team. And of course, we sprinkle all of that through with workflows if needed, so that the proper people are approving trainings and being notified of training activity. We keep track of skills, trainings, licenses, certifications, and their expiration dates, and we can send out automatic reminders. So you're never going to hear, I didn't know it was expiring, I didn't know I had to take it. People will be notified. Emails will go out. If they're using our mobile app, pop-ups will pop up. They can click on it and take the training right from their mobile device, which is very popular with our field service companies. So just ample opportunity to be notified of events as they are upcoming and occurring, and then the ability to respond directly. And then finally, just about any type of training medium that you could envision: classroom, online, live webinar, recorded webinar, on-the-job trainings, observations, external trainings, book reading, club attendance, whatever you think you could imagine for a training, we absolutely support that. Just in closing, I wanted to thank you for joining us today. Michael and I appreciate your time and your participation. If you should have any questions, if you're typing them into the chat or question box, we'll be sure to respond to you. If you need our contact information, it's here, and we very much enjoyed having you.
Thank you, Rebecca and Michael, for presenting this very informative webcast today. Just a few reminders for the attendees. If you'd like to view this webcast again, the archive recording will be available for up to 7 days on the hr.com website, and the slides will also be available to download. Your feedback is important to us. Please take a moment to fill out the exit survey that will appear on your screen once the webcast has ended. This concludes our webcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.